artificial intelligence isn't just another tool. It's rapidly becoming the default lens through which we search, learn, and make sense of the world. And that shift carries real consequences. Every time we let an algorithm decide what information we see or accept an AI-generated answer without questioning it, we surrender a piece of our own judgment. Critical thinking, the skill that protects us from misinformation, bias, and shallow reasoning, is now under pressure in ways we've never experienced before. This video confronts a simple but urgent reality. If we don't understand how AI is reshaping our thinking, we risk becoming passive consumers of machine-filtered truth. The goal isn't to fear AI, but to face the challenge head-on and reclaim the parts of thinking that make us fully human. Before we can understand how AI affects critical thinking, we need to be clear about what that term actually means. Critical thinking isn't just having opinions or being skeptical, it's the disciplined process of evaluating evidence, identifying bias, questioning assumptions, and reasoning through complex problems. It's what allows us to separate signal from noise, truth from manipulation. And it's not automatic. It requires attention, memory, reflection, and effort. In a world where AI tools increasingly summarize, simplify, and suggest, the risk is that we stop engaging those mental muscles. We start accepting conclusions without understanding how they were reached. That's not just a shift in behavior, it's a shift in cognition. Humans have always offloaded mental tasks onto tools. We write things down so we don't have to remember them. We use calculators instead of doing math in our heads. Now, AI takes that offloading to a whole new level, summarizing articles, generating ideas, even making decisions. In theory, this frees up mental bandwidth for deeper thinking. But in practice, it can also lead to cognitive erosion. The more we rely on AI to do the thinking, the less we practice the skills ourselves. And like any muscle, unused cognitive abilities weaken over time. The real question isn't whether offloading is bad, it's what we're offloading. Are we handing over routine tasks, or the very processes that make us thoughtful, analytical, and self-aware? One of the most subtle dangers of artificial intelligence is something called automation bias, our tendency to trust machine-generated outputs more than we should. When an artificial intelligence gives an answer, especially if it's fluent and confident, we're more likely to accept it without question. Even experts fall into this trap. The interface feels authoritative, the response sounds plausible, and our critical filters go offline. This bias doesn't just affect what we believe, it affects how we think. We stop asking, "Is this true?" and start assuming, "It must be right." Over time, this erodes our ability to verify, challenge, and reason independently. In a world where artificial intelligence is everywhere, automation bias isn't just a glitch, it's a cognitive vulnerability we have to confront. One of the most deceptive effects of artificial intelligence is how easily it creates the illusion of understanding. The output looks polished. The explanation sounds coherent. The tone is confident. But beneath the surface, it may be incomplete, misleading, or entirely wrong. And because it feels right, we stop digging deeper. This is a cognitive trap. Our brains mistake fluency for truth. We feel informed, but we haven't actually reasoned through the topic ourselves. It's like reading a summary and thinking we've mastered the book. The danger isn't just misinformation, it's the erosion of intellectual humility. We forget to ask, do I really understand this? Or am I just nodding along to something that sounds smart? Despite the risks we've explored, artificial intelligence can also strengthen critical thinking if we use it deliberately. The real power of these systems isn't in giving us answers, but in expanding the way we question. Artificial intelligence can surface perspectives we hadn't considered, highlight assumptions we didn't realize we were making, and map out reasoning chains that reveal gaps in our logic. It can challenge our blind spots, simulate counter-arguments, and help us stress test our ideas before we commit to them. In this sense, artificial intelligence becomes less of a shortcut and more of a cognitive partner, one that pushes us to think more broadly, more rigorously, and more creatively. The key is staying in the driver's seat, using artificial intelligence to deepen our reasoning rather than replace it. As artificial intelligence becomes woven into the platforms where we communicate, learn, and debate, it begins to shape not just individual thinking, but the collective habits of entire communities. Algorithms decide what rises to the top of our feeds, which arguments get amplified, and which perspectives quietly disappear. This accelerates the pace of opinion-forming people react faster, with less reflection, because the system rewards speed over depth. It also blurs the line between authentic human voices and machine-generated ones, making it harder to know what ideas are genuinely emerging from society and which are being nudged into place. These shifts don't just influence what we think, they influence how we think together. And in a world where public reasoning is increasingly mediated by artificial intelligence, the culture of critical thinking itself is at risk of being reshaped. The next era of critical thinking isn't just about evaluating information, it's about evaluating the systems that produce it. As artificial intelligence becomes a major source of summaries, explanations, and recommendations, we need a new layer of awareness, the ability to question how these models are trained, what data they rely on, and whose values are embedded in their outputs. This is metacritical thinking, thinking about the thinking that artificial intelligence is doing on our behalf. It means recognizing that every model has blind spots, every dataset has biases, and every output reflects choices made by designers, not neutral truth. When we develop this skill, we stop treating artificial intelligence as an oracle and start treating it as a tool, powerful but imperfect. And that shift is what keeps human judgment at the center of our decision-making. Reclaiming critical thinking in the age of artificial intelligence isn't about rejecting technology, it's about redesigning our habits. We have to slow down in systems that push us to speed up. We have to question outputs that feel authoritative. And we have to rebuild the mental muscles that atrophy when we outsource too much. This means practicing verification, not just consumption. It means pausing to ask what assumptions an artificial intelligence system might be making, and what assumptions we might be making when we trust it. It means choosing depth over convenience, even when convenience is tempting. Critical thinking has always been a discipline, not a default. In a world saturated with artificial intelligence-generated answers, it becomes a deliberate act of resistance, an active choice to stay engaged, reflective, and intellectually awake. We're living through a transformation in how humans think, one as significant as the invention of writing or the printing press. Artificial intelligence is becoming a constant companion in our reasoning, our learning, and even our imagination. The question is no longer whether these systems will influence our minds. They already do. The real question is what kind of thinkers we want to become in this new landscape. Will we allow our cognitive abilities to fade as machines take over more of the load? Or will we evolve, using artificial intelligence to extend our curiosity, sharpen our judgment, and deepen our understanding of the world? The future of human thought isn't predetermined. It's a design challenge. And the choices we make now about how we engage with artificial intelligence, how we question it, and how we question ourselves will shape the intellectual character of the next generation.